We often get asked who fails on the Propane Business program. So out of the coaches and trainers that we work with and help them to build their online fitness business, to create their conversion mechanism, 14-day challenge, and coach people online, what are the factors that cause someone to fail? And why do people not manage to achieve the result, which is not a very sexy result, but 3 to 10K per month from a recurring base of monthly group coaching clients? And
Everest Base Camp. Like, you can go as far up Everest as you want. We're going to take you from Tibet to Everest Base Camp, give you some yak butter tea, and we'll sit in a tent and we'll talk about what it might be like to summit the mountain.
We'll give you a hat and a nice coat and, give you a compass, and it's like, right,
3 to 5 grand a month. There's not much oxygen up there. We can go up there if you want to, but it gets quite serious. But yeah, 3 to 5 grand a month. I'm sorry to push you off the rails there.
But that's the kind of the base camp, and that's achievable if you have an ability to coach people and get them a result, a good product market fit, a good niche, and you're technically somewhat literate and you can execute the plan.
Yep.
So the two reasons that people fail is usually because they lack those things. So the primary one is they have a poor ability to coach. They just can't get someone a result at the core of it. So with that, it doesn't matter how well you market something. If you don't have the core skill, you're fighting uphill. We actually don't teach nutrition, physiology of metabolism, exercise physiology, that kind of stuff in the program. We have to assume that you've come to us with some degree of expertise in your field. And what we do is help you to put that in front of the right people.
One of the reasons why that's so important is if you're selling something that's recurring. So if you've seen the webinars, if you've listened to the podcast, you'll know that the whole idea is you sell something upfront that is moderately priced, mid-ticket, so like 150 to 500 pounds for a 6 to 12 week program, in that kind of range. You're not going to build a sustainable, recurring, like growing business on just selling that if everybody who buys that then leaves. The idea is those people buy that, and a percentage of them, the highest percentage possible, stay for months and months and years, ideally. So if what's lacking in all of this is we work with you, help you build the marketing, set things up, get leads and convert those into sales, but then 100% of the people who complete the first program leave, or you have a 100% churn rate, there's kind of no point. And that's linked to your ability to coach. So you need to be able to coach and deliver a result.
Like that's why it's the biggest driver of your profitability, because the whole purpose of the program and the way that it runs is that you're relying, certainly in the short and medium term, on paid ads to acquire customers. Yep. And the goal is to break even on the front end, but it won't be a massive margin. Really, where the profit comes from is the recurring revenue base. And that's why we recommend a mid-ticket program, because there's a high lifetime value of those clients. And if you can retain them and they stay for a year, 2 years, that becomes so profitable, because every subsequent month that they're paying is pure profit, because you've paid the acquisition cost to get that client. And that's where, you've got the hat and the coat and the compass and you're up on your own, because we can't help you to retain those clients and give you systems and tools to be able to do that. But the biggest thing that's going to cause someone to stay with you is that they're getting results. Pretty simple.
Yeah.
So that's reason number one why people fail on the program. Reason number two, and this is the same with anyone following a fitness program, is just that they don't do the tasks. They fall off the wagon. And that's just down to personal organization and buy-in to doing the process. Usually this is down to kind of internal blockages, organizational things, chaos in your personal life, hang-ups around selling. These all contribute to not sticking to the program. But we try and make it as step-by-step as possible, so that each week there's a set of tasks to do. And if you complete those tasks, by the end of 12 weeks, you've got the system set up. You've run 3 iterations of the 14-day challenge, so 1 organic and 2 paid, such that you then have the system up and running, and then you can start to really pull the lever on the ad spend once you know that all these different moving parts are converting effectively.
it's kind of like an ego emotional thing as well sometimes, because we're coaches ourselves. People come to us for help and advice. We like to feel like in that area of our life we have the answers, and yet in this domain maybe you feel stuck, or you don't want to ask for help. It's embarrassing to say like you don't know how a bit of software works, you don't know how a bit of technology works. One of the problems with online coaching is we can't or rather we're not going to come around to your house and kick the door down and open your laptop for you and do the modules for you, do the work for you. You've got to want to do it. And I think like that really has to be, if the goal is I want to build something that's doing like $5,000 a month remotely with very little cost, it's very high profit margin, I can run from anywhere in the world. The minimum is you have to really want that outcome in that process. Because if you don't, like no one's going to do it for you. And so if you want it, it's learning that like you will hit setbacks, things will go wrong, things won't work, things will break. Trying to not get emotional, trying to not let your ego get in the way, and just thinking, right, this is what's happened, this is what's gone wrong. I'll just get some help, rather than sit and be stuck on my own. Are there answers in the modules? Yeah, great, fixed. I'll continue. Or there aren't. I need someone to look at this. Go through one of the support channels.
Yeah, it's a big outcome. It does involve work, and I wish we could say we have 100% success rate, but we don't. We don't have anywhere near that because, sadly, even like no matter how good the process is, it's down to just getting it in place, and there's a lot of front loaded work. Not to be too doom and gloom, because if you do the processes, the whole thing's designed such that it has a closed feedback loop within it. So when you run the funnel, you have the numbers, and we give you the tools to track the numbers within it, such that you can look at it from a high level and say, okay, this is where the bottlenecks are, or this is where this page didn't convert to here. How can I fix that? Rerun the challenge and update things as you go along. So there's a process for when things don't go right, and then you can tweak and repeat. And that's really what kind of makes the whole thing work over time.
Yeah, I think I've said this quite a few times, but like if you're on a call with a coach, like a business coach, and you're thinking about buying their program, I would absolutely ask the question, like, when I run into a month where like this has stopped working, what do you do about that? Because
And if the answer is send more DMs, or like, oh, you just need to post more on your Instagram story, hang up and avoid.
Yeah. Because like it's like, imagine, a client comes to you and their weight loss is stalled, and you go, well, just try harder. It's like, really? That's your suggestion? Like there's no, you need a mechanism, you need a way of like adjusting calories, adjusting training volume, looking at their lifestyle, looking at their sleep. It's the same in business. And so one of the reasons why we lay on so much support, we have so many access channels to us, we offer the amount of the time you stay in our program is so long, is because we know that like as long as you're willing to just keep ticking over, going through the material and asking them for help when you need it, as Yusuf says, it's a closed loop. So we can look at it from a high level and say, well, let's look at the results of your last 14-day challenge. What were the numbers? Where is it outside of KPI? Here are the 3 things we should change to get this working better, or improve the efficiency, or double the conversion, or make it even more profitable. And if you don't have those, if you don't view it like that, it's not really a business. It's just kind of like winging it and hoping something works. And if you hope it works, one day it won't, and you won't have a strategy other than post more. So always ask that question.
So basically, if you back yourself to do the work, if you back your ability to coach someone, then that's what we can help with.
Where
And
are your
actually, I
guys?
heard someone who said he was speaking to a monk. Oh, it was a client. It was I won't mention his name, but he said he had a conversation with a monk, and but basically he is an expert in a particular field. It's a very niche field, and he was talking to this monk, and the monk was like, "Oh, have you set up this thing, and have you presumably you're traveling and doing seminars and teaching this?" And he was like, "Oh no, I haven't got around to it. Been busy." And the monk was like, "Oh, you're being selfish." And he was like, "Oh God, like what do you mean?" And you're like, "Well, like you have a gift to give to the world, and you're being selfish because you're going, I've got something coming up this weekend and I can't do it." Like you owe the world that gift.
Mm.
Such an interesting reframe.
Yeah. Well, I think like that's a comment for just online in general, isn't it? Like we speak to a lot of coaches who on the phone you can like hear like the passion and the interest about a certain thing. So it might be like helping. I was chatting to a guy yesterday. He was talking about like helping guys who are like they've had kids. Their things have slipped. They drink a lot. They don't really exercise, and it's like affecting everything. And he like fully like, grabs those people out of that situation and fully transforms their life and like helps them stay off depression or like come out of depressive periods and stop drinking. It's like a huge deal for people in this stage of their life where they like get a second wind, and you can hear them talk about this and how passionate they are about it. But then they're still working in like David Lloyd, and
Mm.
you're like, how many people? You know, if there's your skill set, that's what you feel confident being able to do. And the people you maximally you can impact with that are the people who happen to fall into that demographic, who happen to go to David Lloyd, who happen to work with you, maybe 3 people, right? Versus, imagine if you can spread that across the UK or across UK, US, Australia, New Zealand, wherever. It's a That's where like the selfishness point comes in. Like if you have something that can legitimately help and you're constraining it to your local town, it's kind of pointless.
That money aside, you owe that to the world,
Yeah,
and actually, like even not money aside, because the whole point of economics, free market economics, is that if someone buys something from you, it's because that thing is worth more than the monetary
than the
price.
money. Yep.
And so you are adding value to the world by doing that.
The even better thing about having a model that makes money, so an online business that's making money and covering your costs and covering your livelihood and things like that, is you can then expand that and do free stuff. So like we upload this podcast every week. It's free. Like there's hundreds of hours of material. There's hundreds of hours of material on the YouTube channel. There's countless webinars that we've done for free live that are completely free to consume, that have a lot of information in them. We can only do that and devote so much time and buy better cameras and software and all these things because the business that backs it generates an income. So if you're in the position where you can do that, suddenly you can give scholarships to your program if you want. You can launch cheaper ebooks. You can buy better equipment and improve your production. But you're never going to get there by like playing the small game and like hoping it works. So,
Yeah, good point. Like you can then reinvest, widen your funnel,
mm,
grow your business that way. Speaking of which, and of monks, there's a group of monks online who have started like posting their stuff from the monastery on TikTok and
oh really?
Instagram and all this stuff. And it was because the abbot was like, guys, we're living in the modern world here. We have to adopt the tools for the modern world if we want to get our message out to people. So he bought all of his monks MacBooks and iPhones and was like, you guys need to learn the tools of communication of the modern age, because like writing on ancient scrolls is no longer an effective means of communication. And if our mission as monks is to spread this message, we need to speak the language of our audience.
It's interesting that, and I've never really thought about that. That like you still walk down Northumberland Street and there's someone like with a megaphone shouting, and you're like, do you know? Have you seen? Do you know phones? Have you seen phones before? Like social media. I was in LA on the back of my honeymoon. Like happened to me multiple times where these guys would like force a CD, a physical CD, into my hand. Like that's yours, man. That's yours. It's my first album. It's my first album. And like because the whole thing's just a bit like fuck. I feel really
Yo, man, you like rap music? Oh no, not really. But
exactly,
here you go.
exactly. Like
Yeah,
one, I don't own a CD player. I don't know anybody who does own a CD player. Two, if it's genuinely that good, just put it on YouTube.
yeah,
Like
true.
the algorithm will take care of the rest, mate. Like you giving me that CD, what are you expecting is going to happen? I tell like 3 people maybe, and I can't share it with them anyway because it's a fucking CD.
So true. That's what I love about YouTube. Actually, is that as you say, the algorithm will handle it. If you're posting something that is genuinely that good, it'll do well.
Yeah,
And it's the great leveler, which is kind of also why people are afraid to post stuff, because it kind of confirms to them that maybe what they're posting isn't that good.
Yeah.
I know that's not the only thing. Obviously, you get, if you have a large channel, you've got more momentum and chance for it to catch wind. But
The thing I have even more time for is like, so like the bands I'm into are quite niche. So like I was just playing Architects before. So Architects have just released it, which is like metal music where people shout because they're cross about stuff and they don't know what to do about it, so they shout on music. So the sometimes you like type into YouTube like Architects new release, and the ad is like a new up and coming metal band just demoing like the first 30 seconds of their song. And I'm like, even without listening to it, I'm like, I'm going to give them a listen because they back their music so much that they've gone to the effort of setting up ads and they're putting money behind promoting it. They know that like people who like Architects will probably like us too, and we're willing to pay for the privilege to get in front of them with highly produced video and audio. And I'm like, fine,
well,
you've won my attention.
what's that signaling? That they know they've got a good core product, which is they can solve the
Shout.
problem of their audience,
Yeah.
and so they're like, right, let's foot on the accelerator, get it in front of loads of people.
The thing that like the guy that we follow, Anton Creel, who teaches trading and portfolio management and all that sort of stuff. What does he say about it's like if you want to change the world, like get wealthy and what is
Yeah,
it?
so him and Chamath, who is a ex Facebook executive and shareholder, I think he's a billionaire now,
Right.
talk about the same thing. They're like, rather than trying to get behind all these like social justice causes with no capital, you have to accept that the game is run on capital. And so goal number one, get the capital, and then you can make much more of an impact on whatever social justice cause you want to. Ali Abdal has the same idea. You know, he was saying that as a doctor, he was looking statistically like how many lives does the average doctor save in their life, and it's something like 7 or 8 directly attributable lives saved.
God, is that it?
That must be the average. You know, if you account for like GPs and hematologists and whatever,
Right.
I'm
Attributed to
sure like,
just you.
yeah, I'm sure like if you're an ITU doctor or an A&E or something, you probably do save more lives per person. But his point was, where am I setting, as you say, where am I putting the Facebook pixel? What's my KPI? If it's maximum lives saved, I'm better off just making 1 million through some other means, and then paying for malaria nets, donating to the malaria foundation, and every £2,000 saves one life on average.
Wow.
So I'm much more likely to save more lives that way. Yes, I lose the kind of sense of satisfaction of like I physically did it, but then is that selfish? Because then I'm just doing it to feel better about myself.
Yeah. So I guess how does that link to online coaching? I think just that if you feel like there's something which is not even what we started talking about, but I think it is still relevant. Like if you feel like you have a skill and expertise that you can help people, I think one of the biggest problems in the fitness industry is that PTs leave the fitness industry after really short times in the industry because the life that they lead in like 4 a.m. alarms, 10 p.m. finishes, that lifestyle is not sustainable. So the people who are like really equipped to help the world lose weight and improve their lives don't earn a good income doing it. And so they just leave and do something else. They go work in recruitment or something that does pay, which doesn't have anywhere near the same like social impact as teaching someone to, like that example where like there's the 50-year-old guy who suddenly stops drinking, loses weight, gets better sleep, improves his relationship. So if you feel like you've got that skill in you, like online's a great way to broadcast that skill and really make a difference with like thousands of people. So if you feel like you have that like passion for an area and you're happy to put work in, come on in.
It matches at least our personal preference for the 4 currencies, which was episode 33, I believe. So 2 episodes back, of money, freedom of time, freedom of location, and satisfaction. And being able to do that while still turning up the dials of the others is a very cool thing and very possible.
Yeah. And don't buy salt and put it in your water. That's the other thing.
Moral of the story.
Moral of the story.
So if that sounds like you and you want to have a chat with us, there is a link in the description of the podcast, or if you want to jump the queue, send us an email, admin@propanefitness.com, with Propane Business Podcast and a little bit about yourself, and we will send you a exclusive jump the queue booking link to have a chat with us.